What is up? I'm Miguel Antonio, and you are listening to the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. And before we jump into the podcast today, I'd love for you to check out my band, Run With It. Here's a clip from our song, On Your Own.
On your own, on your own, nobody ever makes it on their own. All alone, well, my son, you'll never be all alone. There's a song deep in your heart. It's like a raging lion. It's gonna tear you apart. There's a song deep in your soul. It's gonna start a fire. So let the winds blow.
If you like what you heard, make sure you check us out at Run With It Band. At Run With It Band, everywhere you follow people at, or go to runwithitband.net. It'll take you to all the different links you want to go to, and there'll be a little button you can click for booking information. Now for today's podcast.
The Live and Create podcast.
Sometimes when sometimes I do get a little bit intimidated sometimes by good musicians, even though everybody in Kansas City is so nice, but sometimes I get in my own head a lot of the times, and I was just really shy, but I love them. I absolutely love the Swallowtails. I'm a huge fan ever since that night.
It's funny you said you get in your own head and get shy, because I feel like since I've known you, I've just known you as very I would say you're pretty outgoing, and you're just like, what's up? Let's just go. But sometimes the melancholy artist takes over and you're like, I don't know. Is that kind of a deal? Or?
Yes, because I think, everybody has insecurities, and I'm just really, really good at hiding mine, but they're still there. They still exist.
Right. I feel you. 'Cause I am in general a very extroverted person, but I get in these moments where I'm like, man, I don't even want to go into this room. I don't want to, I feel like I'm not worthy to be talking to these people. And it's it all starts building in your head. And then next thing you know, you feel like I'm just shit. And so I'm going to go home. That, at least for me, I don't know if it's the same thing.
Yeah, I get it. And, sometimes you never know. Sometimes people, they get to a certain level of success and there's egos that come with it. But
Right.
Specifically in Kansas City, I'm going to say this outright. I am going to rep this city. It's one of the best music scenes ever. I play in a couple different cities, comparatively so. I lived in Denver for a little bit, and both of them are very nice, but Kansas City is just, they've just really the rich history of music there definitely has just turned it into what it is today. And we have so many incredible artists. A lot of what I actually credit to where I am today. There's one venue in particular, shameless plug. It's the Skate Bar. Have you ever been there? Oh my God. So there used to be a St. Joe bar.
Okay.
And St. Joe is originally my hometown, and they started there, and it's Brandon and Jesse, they are partners in business and in life, and they just run this bar that's pure 100% DIY culture. Okay. And they've brought legends into this place. They got Agent Orange running through St. Joe. And there's no other venue that's going to get an 80s punk legend like that except for the Skate Bar.
Right.
They got Green Jelly at some point, but even though they've got these legends coming through, they were always championing the local scene and just having open mics and letting people come and freely express themselves no matter what genre. And that's actually where I met my bandmates in Sentimental Creatures, a skate bar.
That's awesome. Was it an open mic, or are you guys just there to see a show?
Yeah.
You start talking shop and you just connect.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. It's kind of funny because I was filming him. Lucas, who's our lead singer, thought I was a photographer. But then we got to talking shop, and then he looked at my Instagram. He's like, oh, Sheila E. Only drummers have Sheila E. on their Instagram. So they didn't have a drummer at the time. And so this is actually the first band I can say that I'm an OG member. Throughout my career, I've always been one to fill in or replace somebody. But Sentimental Creatures is the first band where I am the first one.
That's
and
awesome.
that is like, yeah, and it's kind of on brand. Like the band's literally called Sentimental Creatures, and we try and find a lot of things with sentimental value to them, because I think when you're making art, like authenticity and having it mean something to you is the most important thing.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's such a, I know for me, it's such a struggle because I feel like my level of empathy and sentimentality, if that's the right way to say it, is really really high. Where
Mhm.
sometimes it like almost becomes overwhelming, so then I can't function. So I've noticed what happens is I've overcorrected, and sometimes I like try to cut all of that out. But in doing so, it takes away my ability to like emote and like write as well. So it's like learning this dance of the business side and then also being able to like get in my feels. And because at the end of the day we're here to move people, at the end of the day we're here to inspire people, and kind of remind myself of that. I don't know if that's a struggle for you guys too as you're coming up.
Not necessarily. Like we started, like it was just the two guys at first, right? And they're best buddies, Luke Allnut, Isaiah Diaz. And what's really cool is that Luke has said that Isaiah is the only guitar player that he can play with, because Luke's knowledge of music is literally has just always been what sounds good and what feels good.
Right.
He's not like he's not super like theoretically
So if
like
I'm like talking
knowledgeable.
circle of fists with him, he'd be like, nah, man.
He's like, what is that? Like, I don't know what that is either, but like, I'm a drummer, so what do I need that for?
We always give Daniel shit because of that. We'll be like, hey, can we change the key on this one last minute? We're going to be, a whole step down. And we like look at Daniel, we're like, you're good, man. You're all right. And what's funny is
Daniel's
you guys,
always
because of
good.
the schooling, you went to school with him, right? That's
I
where you guys
did.
knew each other. Okay, so you guys let on like you don't know, but you know.
We know.
Anyways,
We saw.
I hijacked that conversation. So that's your guitarist. So he's coming
Yeah.
from a place of like, man, all I know is this feels good, and that's where
Yeah.
he's executing it.
And Isaiah just has like, he just has the ear. Some people just like, just have it. Like, cool, you have it, and I wish
And
I had
Isaiah,
it.
the singer, right?
Isaiah's our lead guitar player.
Lead guitar player.
Yeah,
Okay.
he plays lead. So like Isaiah is the only guitar player that can match with Luke, because he just goes off of ear. Like his musical ear is just incredible. I've never met somebody like him. And so like our first year as like a band, like a full band with me in it, it was just the three of us. We didn't even have a bass player.
Nice.
And then
All the bass players out there are like crying slowly. They're just like, oh, no one loves us. We love you, bass players. We do.
well, I really wanted my partner, Caleb, I really wanted him to play bass in the band, but he was already in a different band.
But how perfect would that be to have? So like our bass player and drummer, they're roommates, but then like another step like closer is your partner's actually the drummer and the bass player. That's when you know shit will be locked in. That
my
would have been
gosh.
perfect.
Well, it is, because it worked out, and that's our setup now.
Okay.
Because his other
I'm
band broke
catching
up. Yeah, his other band broke up, so we got him.
Brilliant. Did you make the other band break up? Is that what you did?
Okay,
Wait,
so
I was just
this
joking.
is so juicy. Okay, I don't want to name this band. Here's the story. Okay.
Okay. We're gonna go Cat Williams on this. Let's go.
Okay, this is finally I get to tell this story. So I got fired from this band, and it was over text. I didn't have any warning. Not a hey, you want to like smoke a J or get a beer, talk about it. No, just text in the middle of the workday. You're fired. We're bringing the L drummer back in, and Caleb was pissed about that, so he quit.
Well done.
And then
well done to Caleb.
I know, that's my man. My man. And he quit that band, joined ours. Well, what eventually led to the breakup was a whole nother issue, which I don't really want to get into, but long story short, it was one of those things where the guy who fired me was outvoted, and then he just decided to end the band.
He's like, I got one last veto power, and it's called fuck y'all. I'm starting something different.
That's exactly what happened. And it's just like really unfortunate, because like the guys that voted him, I'm still friends with them, and so it's just a whole thing. It really sucks for him, but you know, it's just one of those things. And it's when it comes to like smaller music communities, it's so weird, because like you should have like a really strong sense of community, because there's not very many of us here. We should all be looking out for each other. We should all be going to bat for each other. But sometimes, and I don't want to like be talking down on my own hometown, but there is just like this weird competition sometimes in the smaller pools. And it wasn't until I started going to Kansas City where I just like, nobody else is like that. It's so strange.
So you're talking in St.
Joe specifically, yeah, there is this just weird competition, and not just with like bands, but also like with venues. And I know that there are some venue owners there that really try and they want to be collaborative and they want to work with other people. But then there's like the other half of it where they're just only looking out for number one.
Right.
So it's just one of those things. But what I really appreciate, and especially like venues like Skate Bar really did their best to like try and like be collaborative and work with everybody and support other venues, and it was amazing. And so that's why we've just really like started like working more in Kansas City. We are actually going to Hardcut Studios in the Rhino.
Nice. Okay.
To record our debut stuff. We're working with Riley J. Corbin, who is amazing.
Yeah, I've heard some of the stuff that he's kicking out, and he does a great job. Song. Really good job.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm just so blessed. Our first night with him was literally last night.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're coming off the high of the studio. You guys going back tonight?
Yeah, this isn't me, my regular personality. Like, I am living right now. I am living and creating, Miguel. I came to this podcast ready.
There you go. I love it. I am living and creating. I just need to add, that should be the intro. I'm going to change the intro. We'll try it one more time. Here, maybe I'll cut it, and you just say, I'm living and creating. We'll get in there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's the Live and Create podcast. And then I'll go back in and clip that. Well, maybe. We'll see if I have the time. Well, that's awesome. So you guys are in the studio last night. Now, is this the first time working with a producer?
It's not. We had another friend of ours, a guy named Bo, and he just had a home studio, and he'd been producing for a really long time. But he's just like in a stage of life where he was just doing it as a hobby. And so our schedules just weren't able to mesh. And it was like really nice of him to just like let us come in and just like work with his stuff, because he's got some really nice equipment just in his house. And he just did that all for free. He didn't take a deposit. He didn't take anything. He's just like, yeah, nice. just come over. It was really cool. So like, that's definitely the people I've just been so drawn to are the ones that are just, they want to work with you and they want to create something with you. I love Kansas City. I love the music scene for that. It's collaborative. It's welcoming. Yeah. I love calling that my home scene.
That collaboration, I think, is key.
Yeah.
I know for me personally, I get so stuck like in my studio trying to write. I'm in a season of learning production and mixing, mastering, writing, where it's like yesterday I literally, again, just forgot to eat. And I was like, I haven't eaten anything or drank anything. I need to like get up for a second. But the reality is like, I think that type of work is important. But I think sometimes I have to remind myself, which is one part of this podcast.
Yeah.
Is like connecting with other people and coming up with other people is extremely valuable because of what everyone puts into it. And then when you see people like venue owners, like I just had Cody Boston from like Flew the Coop sessions, like folks who are not musicians, but who are part of the music world lifting it up. Like, it's like when you zoom out and see that and be part of it, find your own way to be part of it. I think it's a very powerful thing.
It really is. And, just together where we can win anything, and when you have more artists working together, I just think all it does is just put more culture and art out there. Like, absolutely. I don't really see the downside of it.
Well, so last night you guys were in the studio working with, it's Riley.
Yeah. Riley Corbin.
I think I was going to call him Corbin Riley. I was flipping it around, but sorry, bro, if he's listening right now. What were some of the takeaways when you left last night? What are some of the things that you guys were like, maybe sitting in the parking lot being like, wow, this was cool. Or man, I learned this.
So what we just did a demo run, and we just kind of like were able to like hear the ideas that we already had laid out and kind of decide like, okay, what's going to be like the song that's going to our introduction pretty much. 'Cause all we have on Spotify right now is just that live acoustic recording from the Rhino. That's all we got right now. It sounds
really good.
So we really, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I love the songs and I love the structure of them. So we just really want to like put our best foot forward and put our first impression out there. And I just really like the way that Riley approached things. He just had like this whole like business model and a whole plan for us like set out. And I just really appreciate like you have producers that are going to go and they're going to mix your stuff well. And Riley just like took it a step further. And he's like, okay, we're going to have like a whole marketing plan with this as well. And I think he did the same thing for Nick Weiss. And I love how involved he's going to be with it. And I love that he wants to like take care of our project and like really make it like sound the best.
Right.
It's also like crazy to me like how well that room is soundproof. Like they had a whole comedy show going on at the Rhino.
Didn't hear anything?
No, we didn't hear a damn thing.
That is impressive.
It is really cool. You just like walk through that hallway where there's like the green room, and then you just like open a side door. It's like the Narnia of studio rooms. It's so cool.
It is very unassuming as well, because if you just walk down that hallway, you would never think that there's a studio back there. But I didn't realize it was that well like insulated. And that I love that green room. There's something about that green room I really enjoy. It's spacious enough. You don't feel gross sitting in it, because there's some green rooms, right? Where you're
we got him in St. Joe. That's for sure.
You're like, I'm not gonna sit in here. It ain't happening. I'm gonna go up in the bar and try not to talk too loud so I can save my voice.
Yeah, I'll just sit in the van.
Now you were in Denver, right, for a while. And were you out there specifically for music? What got you out there?
A failed relationship is what brought me out there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, it's my creative story is a little bit interesting because during that time when Daniel and I were like in college together and had just graduated college pretty much together, I think like Run With It was like really like picking up. And
yeah, that's when we were starting to tour, right when I remember you coming around and being at a few of the shows, that kind of stuff. So.
Oh yeah, and it was just like your guys' like whole motto was just like inspiration for me. And it still is today. Like, I really want to take, like, everything that, right? Because you guys did, like, before, like, Instagram, like, became what it was, like, you guys were doing it right. And I've just, like, taken notes of that and want to implement that into the band I have today. But what brought me to Denver, unfortunately, was not music. It was a failed relationship. I, for some reason, thought that mattered more to me than the band that I had at the time, which is stupid because it was amazing. Money for Nothing was a really good band. It was Aaron Blemmer, who's got some solo stuff on Spotify. Phenomenal. Marcus Words, he hasn't put anything out yet, but his original music is phenomenal. And it was me and another Missouri Western alumni named Bo Lux. And we just like had everything going. The Lake of the Ozarks was our market. They loved us there. They always booked us every summer. It was like we were making some pretty good money too.
Yeah, you make some money and have a lot of fun out there. That's a cool spot.
Yeah. It was a great time. But I can't say it was the wrong decision because what I decided back then brought me to where I am now. And when when that relationship failed in Denver, it allowed me to kind of go into the music scene a lot more. Yeah. My change were free.
You're like, I'm going wherever the fuck I want, and they can't say nothing.
So the first spot I ever went to in Denver was a venue called Your Mom's House. And I'm not joking. No, I had so much fun telling Uber drivers where I was going. Like, where are you going? Your mom's house. Like,
I love it. It's just like in the college, probably every college town, there's a liquor store called the library. And so it's like you can tell your parents and go into the library.
That's brilliant. I'll remember that if I ever open a dispensary. Just kidding. I ain't rich enough for that. But Your Mom's House is where I met the first professional musician who gave me a chance, the saxophone player named Sarah Mount. And her band name is sick. Sarah Mount and the Rushmores.
That is a pretty badass
How sick is
name.
that? Yeah, that is a sick-ass name.
You should it's built in. This is brilliant.
It is, man. She was so cool and she was so nice. And she got together at one point, she just brought only women over to her house, just me and a bunch of other girls who were singers and guitar players, and we were just jamming. And so she just really helped me to kind of push into that scene just a little bit more. I got the confidence to play at Herb's, which is a very historic venue in Denver, and they do the funk jams on Wednesday nights.
Okay.
And that's where all the serious players go. So I felt pretty good about the fact that I could keep up with those guys down there.
Nice.
Because those guys and gals, they know what they're doing.
Hard work in school paid off.
Right. Thank you, Dennis Rogers. Love you.
Absolutely.
Oh man. But like, speaking of Dennis Rogers, I kind of like have like really tried to implement that. Oh my God, I'm gonna get emotional.
That's all right.
Sorry.
It's only been about a month, right? 2 months since you.
Not even like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I I don't know if you know Brian Alford.
yeah.
We did a gig Saturday night talking about it. Now you're gonna make me emotional.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's my fault. I'm gonna ban
But
called Sentimental Creatures.
We talked for a bit after our show that night about Dennis Rogers, the impact he had on him, and where, you know, Brian now has his own school, and he's like, I'm literally trying to do what Dennis Rogers did for me,
Yeah,
and
man.
create that
Like,
same thing.
follow your passion. Like, I've really just, you know, oh dang it.
It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, I really love that man. And like, he had another quote too that I think about all the time, which is grow where you're planted. And, you know, being in Denver, like, I love that scene and everything, but where I am now has like really allowed me to like live by those words and to like really appreciate like where I've come from, you know, which is the Midwest. It's here in Missouri. Oh man.
Yeah. For those listening, Dennis Rogers was a professor of percussion out in it was, I keep mixing, Mo West, right?
Yeah, Missouri Western.
Yeah. And I can't tell you, I feel like almost every drummer I've ever met, like in the 2-3 hour radius, has some kind of connection to him.
Oh, dude, yeah. Rascal Flatts has the connection to him. Like, this man's outreach is insane.
And he goes to bat for people, you know.
Yeah.
I know he went to bat for Daniel a lot, for Brian. He convinced the school to give him, you know, credit for touring with some group that he was part of that they weren't going to do. Like I had the pleasure of knowing him. I worked in the same office building where his studio was, and we just got to talking one day and realized we were musicians. And he took me, I got to see his studio, you know, with all the different kits set up, like 8 kits, you know. And he's a really cool guy.
He was the best.
Yeah, I enjoyed our conversations. We'd run into each other maybe once, twice a month kind of deal. And you can then when he found out Daniel was in my band, that's where I really got to, you know, where he kind of opened up even more, which is cool.
Yeah, he brought together so many people, and just like, man, all the drummers in the Kansas City region and beyond, just like I have like some kind of influence from him. And I just remember like coming into Missouri Western, it was Daniel's second year and my first year together, and just like the ideas we would like come up with for the big percussion show that he put on every spring, like they were kind of like more like, we did like a whole like dubstep like live drum cover with a DJ.
Nice.
And this is like, you know, the same weekend they're doing like a jazz concert and a choral concert, and so we didn't really know like how Dennis was going to react to dubstep, and he was just like, yeah, like,
he's like, yeah, let's go.
like he was living, he loved it. He loved it. He loved everything. He loved music. And doesn't matter like what kind of music it was. He just loved it. And he made everyone around him love music. So I really have a lot to owe to him.
When you say, you know, this concept to grow where you're planted, I think that's a powerful concept. Great reminder for me as well, because I am always, and I think it's my strength that I'm always looking ahead to things. But sometimes in doing that, I can forget the present moment, and I can forget the area I'm in and how to invest in right now to actually get to where we're going.
Absolutely.
What are some of the other things that you feel like you gleaned that to this day you're trying to live out that you learned from Dennis?
Man, I mean, the big one for me is follow your passion, because like every decision I ever made with that in mind, I've never regretted, ever. As long as like it was music and creating music that I could be proud of, like everything I ever did to do that was exactly what I was supposed to be doing. So and the other one also I remember is by watering others, you water yourself. And that's one I think about every day, especially with my position at Lanham. Lanham Music does this really cool thing in St. Joseph called Rock Camp. And it started like 12 years ago, back when Aaron Crawford was working there. And we do a week-long thing where we get kids to sign up for a day camp, and they get the rock band experience. They start a rock band. The first year I was ever a counselor, I got this band. They called themselves the Arsonists.
I saw your post about this. Yeah.
They're still together, Miguel.
How long has that been?
3 years.
That's
They've
crazy.
been together for 3 years. We don't have any other rock camp bands that have been together for this long, let alone be nominated for Reader's Choice at the News Press. Like they're currently they're currently nominated right now.
That's awesome.
For entertainer for
so not just together, they ain't fucking around. They're making things happen, you know. That's awesome.
I know.
There's a band, quite frankly, out of Kansas City, and I think they started at a school of rock. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's still all the original members. I got to meet them at Boulevardia a few years back, but I think they're still out there hustling and doing the things.
That is amazing. Like the fact that you can just like keep the same people together so long, like in anything. But I think music especially, just because of how chaotic it is. Yeah. It really is. Like,
I am literally the only original member from my band. Maybe that says something about me. I don't know. Because Daniel, even though Daniel feels like an original member, he was our second drummer.
Really?
Yeah. So
Who's our first drummer?
A guy named Kenneth, and he does like blues and jazz stuff and all those kind of things now. Because we went through a transition. We were like this, like rock, funk, soul. I don't even know what it was. We were trying to find ourselves. And then when Daniel came in is when we kind of just all figured out, no, we're a pop rock band. Let's go do this. But yeah, that can be such a struggle. So that's really cool. So is that, like you said, that's the day job working there. Are you also teaching privately?
I am.
As well? Okay.
Yep. I got about like a half dozen students right now, and they're all great. One of the students I've had the longest is the original drummer for the Arsonist, and she's still in it.
Nice.
So yeah, I love where I'm at right now. And I love Lanham Music. That place has been in St. Joe since the 80s. It is officially the only music store left in that town. And for people north of us, so if you go like up to like Maryville, Skidmore, even as far as like Fall City, Nebraska, they don't have anything out there.
So they got to drive to you.
Well, that's what he hired me to do. I drive to them. So like, yeah, this is actually what I'm doing right now. I'm on my lunch break right now, hanging out in Stanberry. Yeah, I'm at 3 Point Cafe right now.
Nice.
And they're pretty chill. This is like super quiet little cafe here, but I drive out to the band directors at the schools and I just make sure that they're taken care of.
That's really cool. So they call in orders, and are you doing like sales as well, or essentially they're calling in orders, you're servicing?
Yeah, definitely. It's a mixture of both. So they got my number, my personal cell number. We'll chat. They can hit me up anytime. Like I love what I'm doing because music teachers are like who made me who I am today. So it like feels like such like a full circle thing that I get to like give that back to.
That's really cool. I love it. Now when you're working with Sentimental Creatures, and obviously last night you were in the studio, but when you're writing right now, what's the process look like for you guys?
So the process, I think, starts with kind of like how the band started, is with Luke and Isaiah. And it'll be like starting with like Luke's words and his rhythm guitar with it, or it'll just start with just some riffs that Isaiah's a riff machine. Like every like day, this dude has like new ideas. Oh my gosh.
Him and our guitarist Cody should hang out. One day we were debating how many songs we could like set a goal for. And we set this really high number. And one band member was like, I don't think we can do it. And then Cody stood up and just started like, he was like, here's one song. And he like just kicked out a bunch of riffs, and then he goes, okay, here's the second song, and just kicked out a bunch of other riffs, and they were all amazing, and we're just all watching him like that riff machine. So he needs to meet your guitarist, and they just need to get in a room and write 100 songs for everybody.
That would be awesome. We could just like split it 50-50 between Run With It and Sentimental Creatures.
There you go. Hell yeah. So you're typically starting with the riffs then.
Yeah, typically. And then like I find a lot of inspiration in guitar parts because rock and roll is just my first love music choice. And so like I just will hear what he's doing and just find a groove that works for it. And then we just go from there.
That's awesome.
And I love Luke's writing style a lot too. Like the words, he really comes from a deep personal place with his words. And he just like, he's a big Jeff Buckley fan. So he knows how to put poetry down to paper.
That's awesome. How many songs are you guys shooting for on this one?
We did demos for 6 last night.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. In one night. You guys are hardcore.
Right? We were working.
I love it though.
We have 2 out of the 6 that we feel like are pretty like almost near ready to go.
Yeah.
And the other 4 we're just kind of, we're going to play around with. We're going to see how we're gonna go forward with them.
Move this here, tweak some lyrics here, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
tweak a groove here and there. They have the one song though, which I'm gonna call it's the phone put down song, and it's called Sink or Swim. And it's the one that actually it's the song that drew me to Sentimental Creatures in the first place, because I walked into skate bar when they were playing that song and I was like, oh my God, like it got me looking like I am right now, like all like tear. I still get teary eyed when we play it. I don't know, it makes me think of my senior dog for some reason. So
Works. That's the power of music right there.
exactly. But it's such a good mantra, like sink or swim. Like that's just like when you like anything in life, whether you're like trying to like do something new or go into a new music scene or write new music or make music with people you've never met before, that's kind of the mentality that we're all in. It's like, okay, sink or swim, you know?
Absolutely. Well, and I know we're jumping around here, but just each thing's kind of like popping up other questions, because you were telling me about Denver, right? And being there. But then you made this choice to come back to Kansas City or come back to the area. And on this concept of sink or swim, like it seems like even that is a big move now, where you were growing where you planted, but figuring out like maybe I need to uproot and plant myself somewhere else. What led that decision to come back to the Midwest?
Oh God, it was a different toxic relationship, and it was
the universe is leading us all by toxic relate. That's how I ended up in Kansas City with a toxic. That's how I got here.
Man, like you think I would have learned the first time, like when I got to Denver, and that's what brought me out of Denver. And it was like, it was a matter of security and of health, because it was during the 2020 pandemic. I was actually homeless during that time.
Oh,
I
wow.
have no, I'm not kidding, Miguel. I have a 2017 Dodge Ram ProMaster City. I literally like got it my like 2019, so my car payments are really low.
Right.
But then like I kind of had like a dream to like kind of like do like the vagabond like type lifestyle.
Right.
And then I made it happen. The furthest I got was San Diego, and I was in San Diego when everything shut down.
Wow.
So imagine like living in your van and your Planet Fitness membership doesn't work anymore. Like that's just
crazy.
Yeah, no more showers for me. So it was really lame. So hightailed it out of there, went back to Denver like halfway. And just kind of tried to make it work there, but there was just like so many things that I'm not really going to get into on the podcast, but it got scary. Yeah. That's what I will say. It got scary and it got real, and I had to go back to my family. Like there's like no other choice. I literally
and
like
you
if
were
I would
living out of that van in Denver during COVID, which is So you had a lot of compounding factors that were
yes, and then some. Heavy. And then some. Yeah. It was intense. But coming back to St. Joe, literally it was Christmas 2020. I finally was able to get myself and my soon-to-be ex-boyfriend out of there and back to St. Joe at my parents' house. And I never looked back. I still have a lot of love in my heart for Denver, even though I have a lot of traumatic memories in that. Oh, I love it. And the music scene is still like incredible. There's still a couple of people that I try and reach out to every now and again because they were just so kind to me. But coming back home made me realize like I still have everything that I want right here.
That's really cool.
I'm happy to be where I'm at, for sure.
Well, and it comes, full circle back to that concept to grow where you're planted.
Exactly.
As you think of the upcoming year and a half, I know you guys are in the studio. What do you hope to see? What are some of the goals for you guys in Sentimental Creatures?
Goals definitely get the album released, get the first one out there, and get enough people to like it to where they want to like ask us to do more shows. And I would like to expand the audience a lot more. At 33 years old, I've never been on a tour.
It's time.
I know.
You got a van.
I know. I can't pull a trailer, but I got it. We'll just like we'll throw the boys and the equipment in the bed. It'll be fine.
Do it. You got to. I grew so much from our time touring, and we're getting ready to go. We have like little one-offs coming up, and then our first actual tour since before the pandemic is coming up in September, and I can't wait for it. Like,
hey.
I think you learn so much. You grow as a band. Cause shit gets real day 5, day 6, day 10 when you're on the road with each other.
Yeah.
But I really think it helps you grow as a person, grow as an artist if you approach it in the right way. So,
Yeah.
so looking at doing some tours and getting things going.
At least one for sure.
Yeah.
Because I know like nothing's gonna get any less expensive going on, but like once we like have like finished music put out there, we definitely want to, you know, share it with more people. We'll always have Kansas City to come back to, but you know, we would love to do like, I actually had this really awesome idea, and you call it like the worldwide tour. But the thing is, in Missouri specifically, there are cities named after different countries. There's a Mexico, Missouri.
Okay.
There's a Versailles, Missouri. There's Columbia, Missouri. So you could essentially like hit like the worldwide tour. But like
that is a brilliant idea.
Right? Okay.
I love it.
I do too. I thought it was really clever. So yeah.
And that works well because, like you said, it sounds like you guys are really plugged into the DIY type scene, right? So you don't necessarily even need this established venue. You just need people who are hungry for some new music.
Absolutely.
And a live experience.
Yeah. And something I heard about, I heard a really good like one of those Instagram like pro tips from like scene experts. And they said like book the small towns. Because they don't have anything going on.
It really is true. Some of the small towns we did on tour, we were like, whoa, there's a place, Fremont, Nebraska. It was a random gig after like a week and a half or 2-week tour, East Coast tour. We picked it up on like a Sunday evening, like just a little extra cash in our pockets before coming home. And we're playing some random bar in Fremont, Nebraska, wherever that is, what we thought. And it ended up being an incredible show and people loved it. We connected with them. We ended up going back there like multiple times just because we're like, dang. And I think some of the people were like, yeah, what else are we going to do out here?
Yeah. You know? It's y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. I look forward to seeing you guys as you put out the music, hearing it. Your vocalist, I really like your vocalist. What's his name again?
Lucas.
I really like his vocals. There's something about it. It reminds me of like the 90s. I love the 90s as a decade. Even sonically, it feels like you guys have a lot of influence from there, which is kind of exciting for me because I'm like, new music, if it's got that 90s vibe, I'm like, okay, I'm here for this. Is that a big influence for you guys?
Yes, absolutely. When I heard Sink or Swim, I was like, it's a Goo Goo Dolls song. I thought it was I thought it was one that I'd never heard before, but it was like, no, it's theirs. It's ours. I love the 90s. I'm a 90s baby. I was born in 92. So like all of the music that came from, you know, my generation, our generation, like that's like, of course it's going to be influenced because that it was just always around. That's just what we have, is the music that was playing in the grocery stores, you know? And so I really love the sound that we have because of that. And there's also something just like clean and natural about it. Like the 90s rock music, there's not a whole lot of like crazy like layers to it, you know? It's just like, you know, drums and bass and guitars.
Yeah, it's a visceral
yeah
thing, which is interesting. That actually, I've been, because of now moving into producing and mixing all that stuff for our band, there's one song we have. I feel like you saying that right now just gave me a breakthrough. Sorry, I'm bringing you into something that I've been working on, because now that we have 8 new songs that we're getting ready to release, and there's one where I'm like, I'm trying to think of the approach, and I feel like it probably needs more of what you're talking about, because I love all the layers. A lot of our music is very like pop driven, you know, crazy layers. But I wonder for this one song, it's got more of that just like balls to the wall, like guitar riff, like quarter snares, like running in there, like just go. So maybe that one we're gonna be like, okay, let's pull all the stuff out and see how it feels. You know, I don't know. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because sometimes you just realize like you think you need all this seasoning to make it taste good, but just like sometimes salt and pepper is just all you need.
Yeah. Well, and I have there's this one producer who's giving me feedback on mixing, and he was like, don't use any plugins at first. Don't use anything. Just take the tracks you have and like position them where you want them, and only give yourself a very certain amount of time. And he's like, just start there, because people start slapping on all this, like you said, all the seasoning. And he's like, then you're just left with like, I don't know what this is. It's like, it's an everything bagel, and who likes those? There's probably someone who likes everything bagel, but
depends on the day. Depends on the mood, you know.
Yeah,
it depends on if I have a drug test or not.
That's awesome. No shit. That's so funny because I had to take a drug test for I was helping with making movies. They have that summer camp with the kids. Arts is mentorship, and I was helping with that. I had to go take a drug test, and they said I failed it, and I was like, "What?" And because I knew I wouldn't fail it because it had been a while since I've been to Denver, kind of thing. But I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, and they said methamphetamines, and I was like meth? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, you guys are nuts. And they're like, you can take it again next week. I was like, I sure shit are going to be back in a week.
Yeah.
Like, you just said I took meth. I don't even know what it was. The only thing I could figure is maybe is too many.
I think that's a mislabel, man.
I think so. They messed up. But it just made me think of did I eat a mountain of, poppy seeds or something? I don't even know if that, yeah. Anyways, I got sidetracked, but.
Like, gosh dang. Like, how does that even slip into your coffee?
I know, right? I was like, no, because if I'm going to test positive for something, it's definitely not going to be meth. But yeah, I don't think everything bagel can do that either.
No.
But.
Jeez.
Well, my brain is meandering everywhere. I apologize. It's been great to catch up.
Yeah.
And just hear kind of the journey you've been on. And it's amazing to see the impact of Dennis, as an educator on you, so many other drummers. And what's so crazy is I see almost all those drummers finding a way to invest in other people. And it's cool seeing you live that out. But I got to pop off here soon, but I want to do the last two questions of the podcast. Okay. So right now, how would you define living a great life?
I think it comes from self-assurance, being happy with where you're at and where you're going. And I think sometimes we get a lot, caught up with making an impacting one. God, I'm thinking of Dennis again and I'm crying. But just being able to be self-assured with where you're at and with the relationships that you have, because that really is the most important thing. After you're gone from this world, how are people going to talk about you? You don't have to be some historical figure or some icon to leave an impact, it's just about the relationships that you made and, puts I guess I would say leaving something for the world that's going to leave a better impact, whether could be literally anything. It could be just the journal you left behind, or it could just be a movie that you made or just pictures that you took, and I think a great life just comes from, just being happy and just being proud of that.
It's awesome. Yeah. There's one of our guests on the podcast. His name's Jamogi, and he's actually writing a book of the lessons as he goes. I don't know when he plans on releasing it, but the lessons that pop up to him, he's trying to write a book and keep a record of that. And I think that's really cool. That concept of how do we leave great things for other people? Well, for the last question right now, how would you define creating great things?
Creating great things, I think comes the same thing. It's just authenticity, what matters to you, what you think would matter to other people and touch their lives and touch their emotions, because that's really what great art comes from. It makes people feel things, I
love it. Well, let people know how they can connect with you, how they can follow Sentimental Creatures as you guys get ready to release music.
So my band tag is at Sentimental Creatures on Instagram, and my personal, you can find me as it's Half Pint. My best friend called me that. HALF.PT at Instagram. But I tag the Sentimental Creatures in my bio, so it's all connected.
And it looks like you're in charge of social media for the band.
Actually, it's Luke.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Luke's been the one who's been doing that, and he's also been vlogging too. You can find Sentimental Creatures on YouTube.
Okay,
literally, just
you were the one doing a lot of the videos and stuff. So he's on it.
All Luke. Yeah, he is.
Well done,
he's
Luke.
on it. And I gotta say, shout out to the younger generation for just being born with the iPads in their hand and just figuring out editing by the time they're in 5th grade, because he is just he's so good at it. He's so good at it. These reels that we have look like movies, and it's just awesome. And I love being able to watch it back, because when I'm old, I get to still have these movies and be hey, look how cool Grandma Sarah was when she was young and hot.
she was a badass drummer tearing it up on stage, doing shit. It is kind of cool to think about that you would be able to go through. Like, imagine if we could go right now and check out like my grandpa was in Germany, like after the war. And that's where he met my grandma. Like, if that there was a digital footprint of seeing that, like she was in bombed out houses from World War II, and that kind of thing. Like, but we only get their stories, or now we can leave that legacy. That's really cool.
Yeah. That's why, like the letters and everything, or journaling, like, yeah, that stuff lasts. It does.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for making the time. That was awesome.
I've been looking forward to this for weeks, Miguel. I'm so excited that you had me on here.
Thank you for listening to the Live and Create podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment or a review.
The Live and Create podcast.